Hello, this is Manesh Patel from Ichimoku Trade and AlertTrades.com. Today we're going to go for a global market update, something we're doing on a monthly basis for our monthly newsletter. In here we're going to pretty much go for the U.S. stock markets today and go for them and give you everything in great detail. So let's start off by going for a disclaimer. Disclaimer states this is for education use only. We're not soliciting you for anything to buy or sell. If you do so, you're doing that at your own risk. All information is owned by EII Capital Group, cannot be distributed without our written permission. We are broker neutral, so we support various platforms out there from TradeStation, eSignal, and so forth. Today we're going to be using TradeStation with the IMTF indicator to basically go for the U.S. stock markets. Let's go for our contact information. Here's our contact information here. So if you have any questions, you could email us at info@eiicapital.com, or you could call us at any of our office locations here. Okay, so let's get straight to the charts. That way we get it to analyzing the market. So here's a monthly chart provided by TradeStation for the E-mini S&P 500 futures. Most of you guys know Ichimoku, so I could reference that. You could see here we broke out of the cloud late 2010 here. We started the bullish trend here. We had a pullback here at late 2011. After that pullback, we pretty much have gone up with vengeance, going straight up. Since we've started this bullish trend, we have not gone for any major pullbacks at all. We've gone through some medium pullbacks here, which is pretty much late 2015, but we pretty much have gone up since then. These black crosses represent major support resistances dealing with swing and long-term time frames. The purple dots are pretty much day trading type of resistances there. And you can see here we kind of came up here, we had a resistance here we held, and then we kind of been sitting there and moving, going sideways, and then suddenly we started breaking out here. So let's zoom into this little zone here. Don't worry about the support resistances. You'll see them once we go for the different time frames there, and we'll show you that. And you can see here that we pretty much have been consolidating here into 2016. 2016 we started moving up, and we came to a major resistance in 2016, late 2016, which is at 2158 right before the elections. After elections we broke that, and we pretty much have been going up since then, up to that point. Let's go to the weekly time frame now. And let's zoom in. On the weekly time frame here, you can see that we are in a bullish trend here too. You could see that when we broke this resistance here at 2262, which is at 70, which is now a major support for this particular instrument, we've gone up. You could see that we topped out here at 2385, and we have a minor support right now at 2350. That's holding everything up. As long as this minor support holds here, this market still could penetrate that resistance right there. If we break that, then we got a high probability we're going to come back to what started this trend, which is at 2262.75, which is the next major support. Let's look at the daily time frame just to kind of get a little confirmation, see exactly where we're coming at. And you can see on the daily time frame here it's bullish. We've yet to go below the cloud, and let me zoom out and you can see that here we pretty much got above the cloud here during the elections, and we've stayed above that cloud up to that point. We've gotten below the green line, which has killed some of the bullish trend and tell you that we're consolidating. In fact, we're consolidating here. But you could see here our supports and resistances are holding up here. The support is holding up here at 2323. But the major concern I have is that if we keep on consolidating here, we're going to get to this finished part of this cloud here, and if we break that support, we could possibly start a bearish trend here to the daily on the daily time frame, which will not be good for the bulls at all, and that could signal some a correction for the market. So we have to keep on watching exactly what's going to happen here. This month is going to be very critical. If we break this resistance, then we're going to pretty much keep on going higher. If we consolidate in this zone here, then the probability is going to be higher for a correction going into May, and selling may actually occur with a sell-off starting to occur before the summer. So we have to keep on maintaining and look for confirmations, but right now these are the key support resistance levels here for the E-mini S&P 500 futures. Now let's go for the Dow futures. Dow futures, just like E-mini here, 2010, late 2010, we pretty much broke out of the cloud. We went for a pullback late 2011, and since then we've gone up here. We had a medium pullback around here, but no major pullback at all for this market, and you can see that we've kind of pretty much broken out, and you could probably see right around the election time here, we had some major resistances developed here, which is around 18,257. The election pretty much broke that resistance here, and we pretty much have gone up since then. You can see a black cross right there, and we'll see that closer what those resistances and supports are once we get to the lower time frames. So let's now go to the weekly time frame. And you could see here on the weekly time frame here, we're in a nice little bullish trend here. Let me zoom out here so you could see it here. Just zooming out. You can see here we started, there was a setup here last year around summer, pretty much it broke out, consolidated, and then broke out after the elections here. We had a resistance here pretty much recently at the beginning of 2017. We started off with a resistance of 19,887. We broke that here, and you could see that we broke that here. And pretty much we've been going up since then. We've now developed a major resistance at 20,900, and we have a minor support basically at 20,358. Just like the E-mini S&P 500 futures, we're in a little locked zone here with a minor support. If we break that, we're going to come all the way back to what started this whole bullish trend on the last one, which will be 19,887. So let's look at the daily time frame. And look at it here, and you can see the daily time frame is getting to a thin part of the cloud too. So if this consolidates just like the E-mini S&P 500 futures, then it signifies more for a correction for possibly occur going into May if it doesn't occur this month. But right now the key is kind of see what happens within this range. Do we break the support? Or do we break the resistance? That's going to be the key question moving forward. Here is now the NASDAQ, which is more technology driven. Just like E-mini S&P 500 futures and Dow, late 2010 is pretty much where it broke out of the cloud, and then late 2011 is when it pulled back. Notice here the pullback here on the NASDAQ was not that drastic compared to the Dow and S&P. That was a significant sign that basically the NASDAQ was going to be very powerful, and you could kind of see that it was very powerful, leading the markets going up. So this was the kind of signifying on this pullback here. Since this didn't have much of a pullback, the others actually broke the green line and came to the cloud, whereas this one didn't do that at all. This has been very strong going up. You can see just like all the other markets, it had a little consolidation period right there. And if we zoom in, you could see that basically here we had a resistance here that we had before the elections right there. And you can see we broke that resistance here in the elections. Let me zoom in. Just zooming in and going forward from there. So you could see here going into elections here. In fact, we broke that resistance before the elections, and then during the elections we pulled back, and then we pretty much took off after that. So you could see that we're very, very strong going forward here on a monthly time frame here. So let's go to the weekly and get in our support resistances. And you could see on the weekly time frame, you really don't have any crosses up here. Okay. Sorry, the crosses are still coming, so let's give it a second. Okay, there they are. Okay, so if you look in here, let me zoom in. There's a cross right here, but notice it's not above us. It's actually below the closing price right now, so it's right there. So we really don't have a cross below us. Above us, it's below us. So we have an acting support right there at 53.87. This is different from the Dow and the S&P that we saw. So this is a lot stronger right now going forward compared to the Dow and the S&P. So this is kind of leading the markets right now. The technology is leading the markets. It was leading back in 2011, going into now, and it's still leading the markets there. So this is kind of what we're looking at, the leader for all the global markets right now. You could see there's a resistance support there, and the minor one is right there, but that's still moving, so you really can't determine anything from that at all. Let's go to the daily time frame. Here's a daily time frame here. We've kind of moved our support down to the crosses exactly, since we could see them better here. So you could see the support here is at 53.76.44. And you could see that this is stronger compared to the Dow and the E-minis that we've been looking at. It's just consolidating here. It went for a little pullback here, but not much. Also, it's got a thick cloud here coming up compared to the other markets. So this is a lot stronger. So if you're definitely going to go bullish in some stocks in the U.S. stock market, I'll look more towards the technology side than to pretty much the other sectors and so forth. Okay, but this is definitely leading the markets right now to the stronger side. So let's now move over to the Russell futures, which has been the laggards for all the markets, and let's see how that's doing. Okay, so here's a monthly chart for the E-mini Russell futures. You could see it has pretty much the same pattern long term as the Dow and the E-minis here. You could see it come here. You could see this pullback here. When this pullback here occurred in late 2015, a lot of the other markets pretty much didn't even get close to the cloud. They pretty much held the green line, which is a medium support. But this one didn't do that. It broke that here. So that was telling you it's really, really lagging behind the other markets. Okay, so the NASDAQ was leading at that point. The Russell was lagging. So let's look at what's happening recently. Let's zoom in. And let's look at this picture here. Okay, so let's mark off the resistance here. This was the resistance going into elections here. You could see all those major here. You could see that we kind of broke that resistance here before the elections here. Then we came back below it right here, and then we broke it here. So we've been swinging back and forth, if you look here, between the markets and all that. So there was a lot of volatility here. But notice we held the green line support right there, which was very strong. Okay. So going into the markets, you could see that this was strong, still going into the elections. It broke out with vengeance, just like all the other markets there. And you could see there's a resistance right here that's developed. So let's go down to a weekly time frame. Actually, that's monthly. Let's go down to a weekly time frame. Let's zoom in. Okay, and you could see here, let's iron this out here. So that was really right about there. This was right before the elections here. You could see right before elections here, broke above that resistance here, then kind of hung around there, then broke below it, came all the way down here, was right at the green line support right there, and you could see that pretty much after elections it pretty much went up after a little volatility spike right there and been going up. Then we have a resistance that's pretty much is developed right about here for the E-mini Russell P500 futures, and we'll perfect that to the exact value in just a moment. And then you can see some crosses here that's developed right here, which is a line of crosses that's developed right there. Okay, so that's the little range right now we have. It's far away from the cloud here, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's the good thing of the Russell futures right now compared to the E-mini or the Dow. So this does seem like it's a lot stronger as far as not trying to get there to the cloud at all, whereas on the E-mini and the Dow it is. Okay, and let's go to the daily time frame. You know what? Sorry, I made that wrong. That was the daily time frame was close to the cloud. So that is still lagging compared to the other markets. Okay. I was thinking about the cloud and the daily. Sorry about that. Here you could see the daily cloud here, and you could see that basically it's consolidating around the cloud. So this is still the laggard, unlike what I just said a minute ago. This is laggard compared to the Russell. Sorry, compared to the E-mini and the Dow. And you could see here that it's pretty much consolidating here. There's a support right there, is the active support right now, and there's a resistance right now there. And then if you breaks that, there's another minor support roughly about here, which is right there. So this is the range right now, and you could see that this market is lagging compared to the others. And so just like since 2011, the NASDAQ had pretty much led, and the Russell's been lagging, and you're starting to see the same things here moving forward. Okay, so I definitely would keep on looking at those type of scenarios. So if you're looking at shorting anything, I'll look more towards the Russell 2000, and if you're looking at going long, I'll definitely look at more towards the NASDAQ. Remember, in trading, you want to keep on executing something that you see on the charts over and over until proven otherwise. So until we sit there and the Russell breaks a resistance and the NASDAQ doesn't, we're always going to think the Nasdaq's going to lead, and the Russell is lagging behind it. And you could see from the charts clearly is, especially from the daily time frames. Okay, that's it for this monthly market review. If you guys have any questions, feel free to contact us.